Darkness, what's up? Nora, Vixa, Johanna, Isaac, Nora, Mannequin. Guys, what is going on? Welcome to the party. We're kicking it off quick. We're gonna hear some scary stories, Nora. You're gonna hear some vacation stories today. Sticking with that summer theme. Natalia, welcome, welcome. Nina, Cat's Kingdom, we got some members in the house. Angel said you dare spend a night. Oh, you dare me to spend a night at Queen Mary. I already did, by the way. Oh, what was it like, my friend? Was it spooky dooky? I've never heard of it. It's supposed to sound like Johanna, Johannesburg, where the aliens first landed. What's going on, guys? Elena, you're prego. Congrats. Thank you for repopulating the Earth. Hopefully, you raise us a good one. Another subscriber, perhaps. I'm just kidding. Alright, starting the timer now. 20 minutes. Let's chit-chat before we jump into them spooky stories. Baguette. Everybody got their baguettes ready? Gnawing on them. Caitlin, you're eating some chicken? Like I'm sipping on some tea. Tea and chicken. It's a combo that goes back long into human history. Jordan, thank you. Original Asherella says, who does my graphic design? That is Robin Mikalsen. He might be in the chat here soon, but he's also linked down below. He does all these cool 3D models and graphic designs and all that kind of stuff. Sweet tea, no. I mean, it's kind of sweet in the fact that it's more like a chamomile type, you know, herbal. Nightmare Files at the 5 says, always good work, my man. Well, thank you, Nightmare Files, and welcome. And thank you. Welcome and thank you. Lights Darkness with the 5 as well says, your stories have have helped a lot these past week because I found out that I have cancer. Oh my gosh. Wow, Lights Darkness, I'm really super sorry to hear that. That's be thinking about you here, praying for you the best we can. I mean, any support you need, definitely there for you. If you want to join the Discord, there's a lot of good people in there that, including myself, that would love to chat with you as you're going through times like these. So GDDP with the 5 says, thanks for all the hard work you put in your channel. You keep me company while I work on crafts. You're awesome. Thank you. I'm glad my voice can be there with you as you're crafting. Minecrafting, maybe. First name, last name, you had your headphones. Now you can hear me. Alright, let's do it. Natalia. Natalia's one of the OG Discorders. The Baguette clan. They got their own language going in Discord. Also, there's fireworks going on outside right now. I don't know if you guys can hear them or not. Probably not over the music, but it's either fireworks or the bombs are finally dropping. I feel good though. As I get obliterated into bits. I feel fine. Everything's fine. If the bombs were dropping, it'd probably be the first thing I do is stream. You're drawing while watching? That's good. What are you drawing? Oh, we got a couple people drawing right now. I like that. My favorite food. Ooh, probably lasagna. Maybe cheesecake for dessert, you know what I'm saying, man? Emily with the 5 says, best part of the day is always live stream with the baguettes. Hiroshima all over again. We're back at it. Thank you, Emily. I'm glad I can be the best part of the day here. I wasn't sure if I was going to stream, but I gotta kind of work overdrive this week to get ready for a little bit of vacation, heading to, if you've seen on some social media, I talked about going to VidCon. Be there July 9th to the 14th, celebrating with other creators. Let me know if you're in the, LA, Anaheim, Disney World, Disneyland, I guess, location. And keep an eye out for me there if you're there as well. I'll be wearing my merch. I think I saw Mr. Black Pasta here as well. Welcome, my friend. He is the one that advised me to get this current amazing streaming microphone that you're hearing. 4th of July weekend in the USA, close enough. Plus, USA Americans love blowing shit up. Absolutely. That's what we were founded on, was explosions. Mannequin of Chaos with the 10 says, Zup, Zadinator. What's up, Mannequin? Welcome. Baguette Squad. It was butter socks, now we moved on to baguettes. What about spreading your butter socks onto your baguettes? That would be a nice mixture. Please say your name. Alright, so the triangle in mathematics means... Doesn't it mean change in science? Something of that nature. Oh, Mr. Black Plus, I appreciate the... Thank you. I'm glad it does. Have you ever had vegan food? Yeah, I have, you know? Anything, I guess, that's non-animal product is vegan, right? Oh, Emily, you have to go. Dogs are too scared of fireworks. You need extra loud music. Uh-oh. That's funny. I wonder if they're hearing them. Everybody's launching fireworks around here. Summertime. Time to celebrate. Bobby, I have noticed you. Senpai sees you. Super sad summer. Do I record long videos in one take or cut and add clips? So yeah, I just you'll see tonight. I will start and stop at times. Sometimes I just have a microphone that I can start recording. I mess up, I stop, then I go back to where I kind of flumped up. Blue Rooster, welcome. Ashley, welcome. And then I can just start where I messed up and then move forward and then just edit those together in post-production. And it makes it a seamless process. But I think we've got it down to a pretty good science now. Any recommended songs? Interesting. What have I been listening to lately? I don't know if you guys ever heard of Mr. Kitty. I really like this one song by Mr. Kitty called Empty Phases. And it's a bit of a sad song, but I really like the sound of it. Yeah, this is a good way to enter the weekend. I guess no more Game of Thrones to get in anybody's way. Just straight up Let's Read streams. Can I speak up louder? You're at work straining to hear. I don't know. I really don't know if I could speak any louder, to be honest. The stories might... I don't know if anybody... I hope everybody can hear me okay. I don't know if your work is just blowing up your ears. Should clap after good takes when recording. Yeah, so, yeah, there's no, so basically, it's not like, I don't think I like edit the same way some people do, and have to like go in and recognize sound waves or anything like that. What's up, Jensen? Welcome, my friend. But basically, it's just start and then stop, and then start where I left, where I made a mistake, and then go. And then when I bring all of the, and then I, go to my microphone, put that into USB mode, connect that as a drive to my computer, go into Sony Vegas, drag all of those files in order that they, transfer initially, straight up to Sony Vegas, and then all I have to do is go to the file in front of the current one, listen where I start, go back a little bit to see where the sound waves kind of match up to to where I can tell that that's probably where I messed up. And then it's just a quick, and then there's like a clipping tool that like drags them together really fast, and it's quite literally the easiest process ever. So I'm fortunate in that's kind of like my workflow, and it's very efficient. Lights Darkness with a 2 says, my girlfriend dumped me because of the cancer. Oh my god, man. I'm really, really sorry. That's seriously like, I don't even know what to say. I really, really don't. Like I said, join our community. I mean, honestly, at times like these, you really need to know that you have people to support you and be there for you, even if they are just kind of random people on the internet. I think sometimes that's the best case scenario because it's like the perfect stranger sort of thing. And we would be more than happy to chat with you as you go through this, and just, I'm sure there's got to be some people who have gone through it as well on there that would be, more than capable of relating to what you're going through right now. So I'm really sorry to hear that. Akron with the 350. Thank you, Akron. Victoria, you are in for a scare tonight. Some spooky vacation stories. We're going to be busting through about 7 of them. Seems like Mondays have been turning into theme story days, and there's some of my favorite. Jordan Files. Do I draw? I have in the past. I was a big drawer in the past. I really enjoyed, the finer arts usage. And in college, I learned how to use charcoal, things like that. And I loved charcoal. It was a great way to represent shading in a very efficient way. And but ever since stopping college, most of my creative endeavors are put into this channel, so I really have not had much time or put much effort into anything other than YouTube, lifting weights, and yeah, eating food. I don't even know. Number 15 and pregnant. How old am I? I'm 29 years old. Amanda Zarenda with the 10 says, thanks for being great. Well, thank you, Amanda, for being so generous. I appreciate that. If you guys are feeling these jams, this is from a channel called Smooth Sounds. The title is 20 plus best free music. Joaquim Carud, no copyright music, jazz, instrumental, hip hop. From Smooth Sounds. Why is everyone being pregnant? I don't know. Just seems like the natural way of things. Still a young lad. Thanks. Charcoal is quite messy. Prefer acrylic paints and digital painting. Yeah, I've never really got to experience digital, to be honest. Bobby, you just turned 28 on the 28th. Nice. I am also a June baby. I just turned 29 early this month. Ria, so you just started listening to the 66 Paranormal Scary stories. Can only listen to them during the day because you feel like somebody is watching. Hey, I understand that feeling. Some of those are pretty spooky. Especially when I'm reading them, I get kind of a sensation of, I don't know, something otherworldly. Holly Harder. With the $2 says, I do makeup vids and want to incorporate paranormal. All right, yeah. Definitely, you know, tomorrow's video, I'm not sure if it's going to be this one that I'm recording yet because I have another one on the ready to go, and we're figuring that out right now with some sponsors. But basically, if you have something that you know that you would like to be featured in the kind of like the foreground of the video, the visual element aspect of the video, definitely, you know, DM me either on Discord or Instagram or Twitter or wherever, and you know, we can figure out like a essentially a Dropbox where you can send kind of like a sped up version of your art. Hopefully it's at least a half an hour so it kind of fits well into the narration or gives something for people to stare at for a while, you know what I mean? If they're into that, unless they're doing something else. But yeah, let me know, and thank you, Holly, for I would love to see some paranormal makeup. That would be really cool. Blue Rooster with the 2 says, getting that Spaceman ink soon. All right, I can't wait to see that. Thank you. Jess with the 2 says, Zoom. Yay, can't wait for the stream. Boom. Zoomity boomity. We're kicking it off here soon. We got about 5 minutes till we make a big transition into some spooky stories here. Colin Granmond with the 5 maple syrup Canadian bucks says, I knight thee, Sir Joel of Baguette Squad. Thank you, my liege. I very much appreciate that knighting. August Brown, the last video was so great. In retrospect, the Ted Bundy story was so creepy. Yeah, I feel bad because it's like, I feel like I kind of may have given away the story by the title of the video or whatever. But, I don't know. I think it was worth it just to kind of, because it was a really cool story. How much time? We got about 4 minutes till we kick off here, my friends. The first 20 minutes fly by fast, huh? The Baguette Squad. Should have named it I Almost Hooked Up with Ted Bundy. That would have been a good one. I don't know how YouTube's algorithm would react to that. I never really understand how they react. Like, they're so up in the air whether they're gonna recommend your videos or not, or what goes on. All I can really do is grind, and obviously I'm very thankful for these streams because you guys have been extremely generous and awesome throughout that, and it's just a really positive environment that I love. I'm so hot I make your teeth sweat. Now that's next level hotness. Ted Bunce is your favorite killer? Nice. I never heard of Ted Bunce. Cheese Daddy, who wants to see my cheese? What kind of cheese we talking? Gouda? Swiss? Uh-oh. His Eminence with the 2 says, Ted Bundy was my wingman. You have to be careful. He was a very handsome man. He may have been stealing all your girls. Not sure what he did with them, but certainly he was taking them somewhere. The Piglet story, yeah, that was a little bit next level. Worldwide, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Every question you've asked thus far has been in all capitals, and also relatively excessive. So, just need you to dial it back a little bit there, my friend, or we're gonna have to time you out. Natalia with the 5 says, Baguette, let's read emoji coming up. Also, thank you for the stream. Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for donating. Thank you for your art. Seriously, every art you do and all the emojis are freaking awesome. Amy Baker with the 2 says, sorry, it's not more. Thanks for being great. No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Full-grown pizza.
Whoa, we got a full-grown pizza in the chat. Welcome. Let's get some chants going for Lana D. Welcome. She's a new member. Hashtag little people. Are there any good little people shows going on TM? What's the channels? TMZ and the like. I always liked the little people ones. Little but good people. Hobbits of the world. Captain Pizza Pants with the two says, hey. Well, hello, Captain Pizza Pants. I used to read Captain Underpants way back in the day. Oops, I'm all out of tea. Alright, less than a minute till we kick this off, guys. We shall be transitioning to the spooky stories. Kiana, that's a cool name with the 5 says, yo, I love these streams. Love how passionate you are about your channel too. Your voice is so damn soothing. Well, thank you. I try to be. You guys definitely keep me passionate about by always coming back and supporting both the channel and the live stream and the podcast, which if Mr. Black Pasta's here, he did me a huge favor by introducing... Oop. Oh gosh. Sorry about that. That was the 20 minutes and I forgot to turn off the sound timer so I wouldn't blow anybody's ears out there. Oh my god. Your grandmother was a little person considered a dwarf at 4'10". Yeah, I don't really understand that. I mean, you think there would be some genetic components to the definition of a dwarf. Joel is so serious. I'm the most serious guy you could ever meet. Why so serious? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I seriously hate that. I like put it on and it's like, why would they even put a loud beeping noise? I'm sorry, dudes. ASMR ear blowout. That will not happen again, I promise. The timer was just to kick off some reading experience. Ashley, thank you for the 5s. Baguette Squad. we have ascended. Butter socks, baguettes. We roll deep. What do you guys think about this spooky music here? That's the real question as we transition over to our stories. What a change of energy, am I right? This is called Vehicular Necromancy, Unclickable Dark Ambient Horror. And it is by Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse. He is also linked down below as well if you're into... If you want something real spooky, he's in every one of my videos in the background, but he also makes dark ambient music that you can listen to on your own. And I've tried it before, and it, especially laying in bed late at night, it definitely takes you to some very, very creepy places. Super sad summer. You created the Baguette Squad. Here it is. Jamie with the $10 says love, love, wave, wave. Hello, Jamie. Welcome, welcome. You're just in time. Can you make a love-making mix? I don't know. You have to DM him. I'm sure he could. I'm not sure how... if that's, you know, that might be a subjective experience for some. Alright, so these are vacation stories from around the world, and I've labeled them as such. This first story is just simply from Mexico. And they're all from different parts of the world, so that's pretty cool, actually. I'm pretty excited to see where everything is from here. Jersey boy, where am I from? I am from the Northeast, Pennsylvania. First I shall lube up the lips in preparation. You're on keto, can we have a low carb option? Well, we do have butter socks, so I know there's a lot of butter involved in keto. White rum and soda water, interesting. Never had it. So this was kind of a long one that takes place when I was a student at UTEP. That's the University of Texas at El Paso, for those of you that didn't know. And it happens to be one of the best places to study engineering in the entire country, let alone the Southwest. But what many of you will know is that El Paso is right across the Rio Grande from its sister city. Oh, I do not know how to pronounce that. Ciudad Juarez. Lils, welcome Lils, with the $5 says thank you for live streaming. Absolutely, thank you for donating. 5 buckaroonies. Someone might know how to say Ciudad. Chia pet. Definition. Let's see. Sometimes in Wikipedia they'll have the
Ciudad Juárez.
Juárez. Ciudad Juárez.
Ciudad Juárez.
Ciudad Juárez. Does that sound normal? I don't want to completely butcher it.
Ciudad Juárez.
Ciudad Juárez. Yeah, hey. See you, Dad. That's, there you go. See you later, Dad. But what many of you will know is that El Paso is right across from the Rio Grande, from its sister city, Ciudad Juárez. Shit. But what many of you will know is that El Paso is right across from the Rio Grande from its sister city, Ciudad Juárez. Back in the early 90s, there was none of the beefed-up border security that exists now. Sure, the cartels were operating, and maybe I'm just remembering this through rose-tinted glasses, but there just wasn't the same kind of senseless violence that affects the region today. The students that lived in El Chuco... God, I'm sure that I'm not pronouncing that right, and I have to look it up because I don't want to botch it right out the gate. El Chuco. There's Pachuco. Oh. El Chuco. How do you guys think, Dad or Daddy? See ya, Daddy. Across from the Rio Grande. Let's see. I wish there was just somewhere that was just very reliable to go have everything pronounced for you. Often referred to as just the tip. Spell it out. Chuco. El Choco. Shuco. Is it like a shush? Like an SH? Or is it... I don't see anyone. Oh, the sound is very low? I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna have to find this here. Field Marshal New, if you're Mexican from Mexico, how do you say El Chuco? I'm struggling. Is it just El Chuco? Like CHUCO? Or it's SH? On Jakku with the 2 says, I don't feel well. Be my nurse. I can help you out. What do you need help with here? Do you need some pudding? Some ginger ale? Google has a pronunciation. So the word is El Chuco. So it's just EL space CHUCO. Pretty simple, but for whatever reason they don't have it like listed in like the Wikipedia. And there's like Pachuco. Okay, Chuco. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry. We're moving on. The students that lived in El Chuco, what many Mexicans... Oh. The students that lived in El Chuco, what many Mexicans called El Paso, had a lot of respect and love for Juarez for one big reason, the drinking age. In a place where the drinking age was and is 21, we were like an hour's drive away from a foreign country where we could drink tequila and Corona until we passed out, and no one would bat an eyelid. Getting over the border was a piece of cake, too. I can't speak for today, but back then, you could just park your car on the American side, walk over a bridge, pay the toll, and boom, you're in liquor heaven. And now you understand why UTEP gets some of the highest application numbers in the country. About the same time I was making my college applications, a buddy of mine went off to join the Marine Corps. We hadn't seen each other for years, so when he got back from a deployment to the Gulf, we organized for him to come down to El Paso for some much-needed catching up. Only, he too had heard about the drinking age loophole and was insistent that we take advantage of it. Naturally, I agreed. Wow. Anthony, my friend. That's a huge donation. Anthony Esposito with the 50 buckaroonie says, hell yeah. That's really all you can say to a $50 donation is hell yeah. So thank you, Anthony. Hell yeah is true. Anthony. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. That's very kind. Oh, okay. Anthony Esposito with a $100 donation right after the $50 donation says crushing it. Anthony, you are truly crushing it right now. You're crushing me with kindness because this is seriously insane. So we gotta show some love for Anthony in the chat here, guys. Thank you so much, Anthony. That's making my night right now. You're amazing. You guys are way too generous. It's insane. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Anthony. Naturally, I agreed. So we're over in Juarez, getting hammered and jamming with this mariachi band in some dive bar, having the time of our lives. And somehow we get separated. At this time, I should add that I'd only ever been over to Juarez myself, like twice previously, so it's not like I know my way around too well. Stupidly, I decide to go looking for my buddy. Thanks to the booze, I can't quite remember how, but I ended up in this big square that's hosting a large gathering of people. Me, being drunk, assumes this is just some kind of party, so off I go to join in with the revelry. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Anthony, you're... Holy cow, Anthony. Anthony Esposito with a $200 donation. Insane, you say? Get some pizza. That'll calm the insane nerves, I'm sure. No, that actually, Anthony, that literally sets a record on the stream for the biggest donation I've ever received. Holy God. I don't know where this kindness is coming from. Holy, you're an absolute madman, really, a mad lad through and through. Thank you so much. That's seriously so kind. Holy cow. He stole his mom's credit card. I hope not. I hope not. I'm going to be getting a call from Anthony's mom here. Ready to bash my head in. Holy God. Thank you, Anthony. That's... I really don't even know how to react. It's just... I guess I should just keep reading for you. I guess that's what everyone's here for, right? So... Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Or I guess since we're in Mexico right now, she says, gracias. Gracias, Anthony. Gracias. Oh my gosh. And another 50. Says, keep going live then, Law. Okay. I shall. My God, Anthony. Thank you. Much love, man. Holy cow. Me being drunk assumes that this is just some kind of party. So off I go to join in with the revelry and practice my bad drunk Spanish. Only it's not a party at all. And although the bad vibes come a little too late, boy, they hit hard. I remember trying to just get out of the crowd, feeling super panicky when I came across a large truck, Policia, stenciled on the side. There were Mexican cops just tossing people into the back, beating them with batons before bundling them inside. I'll never forget the way this cop looked at me. Pure hatred in his eyes as he lunged toward me. I'm not Latino or anything, but I do have dark hair and brown eyes, not exactly the most obvious gringo imaginable. So the fear I felt when I realized this cop just assumed I was a Mexican rioter or something, Jesus Christ, I'll never forget that feeling of helplessness. Oh boy. Now I have to speak some Spanish because this guy says, Yo soy americano, por favor, no, por favor, yo soy americano. I don't know if, is it soy? Is that how you say it? Guys, I took German in high school, so.
Yo soy americano, por favor, no por favor, yo soy americano.
I'm sorry if that's really, really loud. Yo soy boy, Americano. I've never taken Spanish. Okay. Yo soy americano, por favor, no. Por favor, yo soy americano. I screamed, but my accent always was horrible. The cop didn't understand. Maybe he did, but he just didn't care. But his only response was to beat me with the black baton he held tight in his fist. Before I knew it, I was stuffed into the back of a hot, stuffy police wagon with the group of terrified Mexicans. You have no idea how much it sucked, sobering up inside an overcrowded Mexican jailhouse where I could barely understand a single thing anyone was saying. From what I can remember, it was just this huge, concrete monstrosity on the outskirts of the city, and it was not like any U.S. county jail I'd ever heard of. Instead of smaller cells or whatever, they basically just had these huge, caged-off yards that seriously had like hundreds of dudes thrown into them. I mean, some were like half a football field and still seemed overcrowded. At first, I thought I might be in luck, that they discovered that I was an American tourist during the booking process and send me on my way. No harm done. My heart sank when I realized that there was no booking process as such, that they just throw you in with hardened criminals and deal with you when they're good and ready. I was screwed. I was pretty sure I'd end up getting beaten up, stabbed, or worse. But I was wrong, and thank God I was wrong. The only dudes who bothered to pay attention to me were just curious as to how I'd ended up there. Otherwise, the other prisoners just talked and sometimes fought amongst themselves. My new amigos and myself could barely communicate, but thanks to the little bit of Spanish I took in high school, I could sort of get by. They offered me smokes and through a series of complex hand gestures established that they'd have my back for the presumably short time that I'd be there. Shout out to Miguelito. You're probably not reading this, but I'm eternally grateful. I end up being let out in the morning when they finally bring me out for booking. I thought the cops might be at least a little apologetic, but nope. They didn't care. Just sort of shrugged before showing me the door. So I'm a mess when they let me out of the jail. I'm hungover, I've not slept at all, and I'm a nervous wreck from the entire experience. All I can think about is getting to the border and getting home. I mean, I worry briefly about my Marine buddy, but then I remember he'd been to war and could probably look after himself. I know it was selfish, but like I said, I was in a bad way. Only when I got to the toll bridge to get back to the States do I tap my pockets and realize, at some point during my stay in the jail, somebody had stolen my wallet and passport. I thought I was going to empty my stomach right then and there. I mean, when people talk about feeling sick with fear or whatever, that stuff is for real. I know it wasn't the case, but in those few moments I thought I'd be stuck in Mexico for the foreseeable future. Now, I do love Mexico, but it is not the place to be stuck with no money and barely any Spanish, and there was no way I was going to spend a night on the streets in Juarez. So, with my heart in my mouth, I started walking towards the toll booth, hoping he might take pity on me and believe my story. Sometimes I think that the craziest part about the whole thing is that border security actually did believe me. They cross-checked some stuff, called the UTEP to ensure that I was in fact a student there, then just let me pass. Turns out that the whole losing your passport thing happens way more than I'd first thought. I think I was just too exhausted and scared to show any real emotion. I just trudged back to my car and drove back into El Paso, promising myself that I would never, ever drink tequila again. Anthony. Oh my goodness. With another 100. It says, okay, we will make it a solid 500. My God, man. Where is this generous heart coming from? Where is this love just pouring out right now? Thank you. Yeah, Lils wants to come work for you right now. Anthony, thank you so much, man. I mean, that's just story one we're making it through, and you seriously have just completely blown me away. Completely blown me away. That's... Goodness gracious. B Smiley says, my pronunciations are solid. It will be respect. Thank you. I'm glad. Oh my goodness. Thank you again, Anthony. Goodness gracious. Anthony might be working for the cartel across the border here. I'm just his mule right now. Anthony says, I don't want to do what he does. Okay. I'll leave it at that. I won't prod any further, but thank you so much. Low-key Lily, you were waiting for the transition noise. I know. I don't know if I have that available to me just to press, but I should get it as like a little button. I could do it every time. That would be sweet. Alright, so that was Mexico, and this next story takes place in Singapore. So, I remember I had a friend that I worked at a bar with. He lived in Singapore he grew up in Singapore and went to school there, like an international school. I don't know if his family was in the military or what the deal was, but he was this big dude, played rugby and stuff, and they would call him Singapore. That was like what they called him as his nickname in college and stuff. Yeah, and I was curious, what life like is over there. It seems as if though it's some sort of like a bit of a hub for all sorts of different cultures coming together. It's interesting. Back when I was a student, I went on a university-sponsored trip to Singapore. With over 5 million people of varying ethnic backgrounds packed onto a small island off the coast of Malaysia, Singapore is one of the world's last great city-states. Everything about the trip was just phenomenal. A pure sensory assault for a bumpkin from the Midwest like me. Singapore is a foodie's heaven. Street food hawker culture was practically born there, and the locals take a great deal of pride in preserving traditional recipes that have been around for literally hundreds of years. It's clean, there's very little crime, and despite having a reputation as heaving... Oops. It's clean, there's very little crime, and despite having a reputation as a heaving metropolis, the island has a handful of nature reserves and public parklands where the masses can detox from city life for a few hours before returning to the fray. It's paradise. At least, it was, until the last night we were there. Being the last night, we decided to head over to Clark Quay, which happens to be the I wonder if that's how you pronounce it. It seems like an English kind of pronunciation, but Clark Quay. Sometimes there's... Let's see if there's a Wikipedia page. Clark Quay. Okay. Sometimes they have, maybe I can do definition. Sorry guys, a lot of these places, because they are foreign locations, are Clark Quay. I don't think it's Quay. Let's see. No. All these places, you think they would have like oh, it's Clark Quay. Okay, like... Okay, Key. Right on, right on. K equals... Okay, Clark Quay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. You guys are my hive mind that I need to tap once in a while, and I appreciate it. Robin. Robin is the individual who has done all my graphics here, and will be doing the thumbnail for this video as well. I'm excited to see it. Robin with the 50 kroner says, Anthony is a legend. Holy shit. He truly is. He truly is. He's just headlining that entire chat box up there. But thank you, Robin. It's good to see you here. Robin is the man when you need anything graphic-wise. Being the last night, we decided to head over to Clark Quay, which happens to be Singapore's main attraction when it comes to nightlife. It's a little more upmarket, with the kind of clubs that do bottle service and VIP booths, but we figured since we'd be slumming it all summer that we should go out with a bang. Clark's is a bit of a walk from the rented apartment I was sharing with my other people on our course, so we were stopping into little bars along the way, and by the time we got there, we were smashed. It was a brilliant night. Singapore never ceases to be a feast for the senses, but it was wild. We all drank way too much, and the last thing I remember is getting into a taxi after puking up a bunch of flavored vodka. I'm not entirely sure how I got into my apartment, but I must have done okay, because a couple of hours later I woke up fully clothed, in my own bed, reeking of vomit and booze. It was my phone buzzing irritatingly against the bedside table, caller restricted showing on the screen as I picked it up. Confused, I asked groggily, Confused, I answered groggily, asking who was on the other end. I didn't recognize the voice. It certainly wasn't one of my fellow exchange students, and in fairly broken English, the voice on the other end asked if I knew two people he named. They were both the names of the people I shared the flat with. When I answered yes, people on the other end of the line began talking in Malay to each other. I couldn't understand what they were saying at all, so I decided again who was calling. Not decided. I couldn't understand what they were saying at all, so I asked again who was calling. The Malay man refused to give me his name, or the location of my friends. All he would say was that he was with them and that they were alive. For now. Those words chilled my blood, and as my head was... Whoops. Blue Rooster, with a big 25, says, enjoy your work, sir. Yeah, thank you. And Rooster, thanks for being a member, too. It's good to see you back. You've been to many a stream, so I really appreciate that support and your donation. Rain says, Joel is reach. I'm not sure what that means. The words chilled my blood, and as my head... Wait, well, this is confusing. The sentence is kind of weird here. The words chilled my blood, and as my head as spinning from the hangovers... Oh, maybe I'll just say it with my heads. The words chilled my blood, and my head... The words chilled my blood, and with my head spinning from the hangover, I assumed the worst. They had been kidnapped. They had gotten blind, drunk, and lost in Singapore, and had managed to get themselves kidnapped by the local mafia. That's when I freaked out. I started shouting down the phone, telling them that I was going to call the police, that they'd be dead men if they laid a hand on my friends, that I was an American, and I'd make sure that they'd be in prison for the rest of their lives for this kidnap. The guy just laughed. Honestly, the eeriest, most spine-chilling laugh that I'd ever heard in my life. And what he said next made my head hurt. We are the police, sir. Your friends have been arrested. So it turns out that the pair of our numbers... Alright, Rain, I notice you. I see you. I see you all. If everyone donates $2, the man will make over $600. This is true. But guys, thank you. Just thank you for being here, and thank you guys so much for the support. This is crazy. Alex Royce says you can donate some Bitcoin. Yeah, I do have Bitcoin, and I guess I have a wallet per se. It's just something I never really jumped full into as far as accepting. Dogecoin. You have over 1 million Dogecoin. My goodness. You know, I'm not even sure. I guess there's different markets that you could get Dogecoin at, but that's one, I think, basically around the time Bitcoin last couple years was blowing up, I jumped in. And it's only recently evened out again based on its kind of climb here. And then I also got some Litecoin and Ethereum. And I've kind of avoided cryptos for the most part since then, just because it's really not something that I research too much or have thought about a whole lot, though I guess it would have been wise to jump into it pretty early. Buy my fur baby something. What is a good thing to get a cat, do you think? He has a cat tree. A bunch of beds are scattered about. I did see this one thing on Instagram that's essentially just like one of those like balls that roll around that they can chase after and stuff, but I wasn't sure if that was going to make a bunch of noise and just annoy people, you know, annoy my roommates and stuff. Litecoin is garbage. Yeah, I figured. I think I got into it because Bitcoin was it was one of the first things to trade on Bitcoin, so you kind of get on that hype train a little bit. But everything's moved over to my Trezor now, so I'm probably going to just take all that and just bury it in a safe somewhere. Come back to it. I'll leave a map for my grandkids. I don't even know. Cat butt jewelry. No. I hope it's nothing that has to go directly up my cat's actual butt. Because I don't know. He might be into that. I don't know. I've never tried. I'll have to ask him. So it turns out that a pair of our numbers stupidly decided in their drunken stupor to walk back to the hotel along the waterfront. Unbeknownst to them, they ended up wandering into some highly restricted military area around Singapore Harbor. How they even got into somewhere like that is beyond me, but according to the police, that's just what they did. They're wandering around like morons, making a bunch of noise and generally being idiots, when Out of nowhere, a bunch of Singapore Marines surrounded them with weapons drawn and take them into custody. They hand them over to internal security, Singapore's equivalent of the FBI, where they're basically going to be charged with spying for a foreign power. They were separated and interrogated. One guy said guns were pulled on them in order to get them to fess up. They were taken to the walls of the port and forced to explain how they scaled them, even asking if they had left any surveillance equipment behind the harbor. One cop told one friend that the other friend had already confessed, so they might as well confess too. All kinds of horrific, barely legal stuff was pulled on them, probably just to make an example of a couple of drunk Americans. When the police hung up on me, I called around the rest of the foreign students to tell them what had happened. It caused a full-on panic. The police over in Singapore can be particularly brutal and cruel, as I knew too well, and there was a rush to ensure that our two arrested friends wouldn't end up like that kid in North Korea that got beat up so bad that he died. I'm not comparing the two countries, but I don't know. We were panicking, like really panicking. We were calling up every police station in Singapore as well as the American embassy, asking everyone what we could do if they knew the... We were calling up every police station in Singapore as well as the American embassy, asking everyone... Oops. Dang. Asking everyone we could if they knew the fate of our friends. We had also made quite an extensive number of friends and contacts during our time there, and despite what our arrested friends experienced, Singaporeans can be exceptionally friendly, welcoming, and loyal. Our local friends went to work for us, using their knowledge to get to the heart of the problem. We think someone messed up their job at the port that day, left a gate open, and rather than admit fault, they would get these young students to take the fall. Thankfully, neither of them gave up because, God knows, the punishment for espionage in Singapore at the time was most definitely death. I suppose this story isn't as scary as some of the others, ones that involve actual local crimes, murders, and the like. Maybe none of us were really in danger, but the feeling of powerlessness we felt that night, the pure fear of realizing just how small we really are, how helpless we can be, I'll never forget that. So please, if you do go traveling or on vacation to some far, far away from... Oops. Joel is sexy though, but not all of us gotta be little weirdos about it. I get that. It's okay. This is a no judgment zone. All weirdos are welcome. A real weirdo. So please, if you go traveling or on vacation to someplace far, far from home, be on your best behavior. Not everywhere is as free or as fair as the United States, as terrifying as that may sound. Lils with the 5 says, I'm not a baller like Anthony, but here's a little. No, thank you guys. Every little bit, seriously, is so welcome, honestly, and just I'm really thankful for your guys' support. The fact that anybody would donate at all to me is just baffling sometimes. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just overwhelming sometimes to see it all, working out so well. And I really appreciate the community and just how positive you guys are. How tall am I? I guess I'm about 5'10", I probably would say. That's what have on my driver's license. Aaron Noel 311 with the 5 says, I'm poor, but here's $5 because I love your voice, but buy your cat some catnip, can't go wrong. That's true. Thank you for the 5, Aaron. And I've never really given my cat catnip before. I remember whenever he got his testes removed, he was all sorts of wild from all the drugs they gave him, so I was always curious, like, if this is a similar effect to what it would be like to, do catnip. Joel, are you snorting some coke right now? I hear you sniffing that in the background. No, I'd probably be a little bit more jazzed up if that were the case. My sinuses when I'm reading, it's like hot in here, and it's allergies season, and when I'm recording a lot of my like sinuses kind of dry up, and I feel like it just, the sort of sound that might be picked up from that can be picked up. But it's funny, I feel like I sniffle, and I get accused of cocaine. I take a drink of water, and I get accused of ripping a bong. I think everybody just wants me to just do a bunch of drugs and stream. I'm telling you, if that was the case, I'd probably not even be able to figure out how to get my stream to start. And it would most likely be a very embarrassing experience for everybody, but who knows, maybe you'd like it. Who's the tallest person I know? Huh. I did know a guy I worked with at the hospital. He was a secretary, which was funny, seeing him sit down and he was still taller than you pretty much, or as tall as you were. But he was close to like 6'9". He was a giant man. Sadly, you know, in the past year, it was so weird, dude, because I went to this like kind of like burger place. There's like this Hobuck town, you know, down the way that because my town is like a college town, and like it's starting to get really expensive to like live here and stuff like that, just as far as like starting businesses and buying houses and stuff like that. Like I just rent here and live life, whatever. But for businesses and people trying to find homes, they're starting to go towards this direction. But a lot of them tend to be people that are from like the more liberal sort of, you know, college area. So there's been a lot of like kind of hipster joints popping up and that kind of thing in like the surrounding areas, which is cool because it gives some more culture to the to check out. And this one place is a burger joint that you can make cool custom burgers and all that kind of stuff. It's actually really good. And you know, I saw, his name was Herb, and I saw him at, you know, walk in, and you can't miss him. He was quite literally a giant, and shook his hand, said what's up, chat with him for a little bit. He was a funny guy. I think he was just got done at a bar with a friend or something like that, and came to get a burger, and you know, and literally I came into work, you know, maybe a few nights after that or something. It was like I was off that weekend or whatever, and then I came in, and someone told me, like, did you hear about Herb? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, he had a heart attack and died. I'm like, holy shit, dude. I literally just shook that guy's hand and chatted with him, and he was in good spirits about, like, 2 days ago. You know what I mean? So I understand that, you know, some people that are of a really exceptional height, you know, definitely have complications with health that, you know, I wouldn't be aware of otherwise. You know, you never really know. But it was really sad just because he was such a positive dude. And then just I think he was in like his 50s maybe or something like that. He really wasn't that old. But just to suddenly go out like that, it's like you really never know when it's going to happen sometimes. But rest in peace, or was it Herb? I don't even remember. I feel bad now. I don't even remember his name. He was a great guy, nonetheless. All right, so this next story is from Panama. My buddy's girlfriend is half Panamanian, half Guatemalan, if anybody cares. Maybe she'll hear this story and be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I remember, I think it was in Max Payne 3 or in or maybe you just go through the Panama Canal. I forget where you're at in Max Payne 3. I'm pretty excited though because there's been some leaks going down in relation to it could potentially be 2 projects that Rockstar is currently working on, but essentially they're very centered around you know, the Vice City location again. And it's going to be a next-gen game, you know, not PS4, Xbox One. It's going to be on, you know, their next gen systems and PC and that kind of thing. And you thought Max Payne 3 was garbage. I like the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was fun. The story was not quite as fun as the previous ones because it was all in Spanish. I felt like the characters just didn't hit me the same way they did with like all the really like bumbling Italian gangsters, the Jersey gangsters and stuff. Like the parts in Max Payne 3 where you're in Hoboken, Jersey, that was freaking cool. I love that. But just because I felt like it was fun. It was fun, just like, I don't know, hearing all like the Jersey, like, what the? Are you kidding me? Oh man, just that kind of accent and stuff. But then whenever it went to like wherever it took place, I guess it was where did it take place? Was it Colombia? But yeah, long story short. Wait, Anthony says, dude, there was one part on a roof where you pop up and get shot in the face like a slut. Was that in the story, or was that just part of the gameplay? Like, you have to be careful you don't get shot. But yeah, then so there's been leaks for GTA 6, essentially, like a project that's going to take place between. It's going to be primarily in Vice City, or like the Miami sort of inspired location, but you're going to go back and forth for some linear missions that take place in a sort of South American location. And apparently the story is very heavily influenced by the Netflix show Narcos, with Pablo Escobar. Plato o plomo. I love that show. I actually didn't even finish it, but every time I watched it, it was just like so stylized and awesome, and the way they moved through the story was just so good. But yeah, I'm pretty excited they're going back to Vice. I'm even more excited that they're going to, going to be on next-gen systems. That's exciting. And it's going to be really cool because I kind of had an inclination in Red Dead 2, whenever you end up in the tropical area of Guarma. I was like, there's no way that they have all these tropical assets, all the palm trees and rocks and the sand that are all tropical based, that they're just going to not utilize these for, the Rage engine for, GTA 6 or whatever project. Someone else was saying that there might be like sort of a Max Payne spiritual successor that might, in like gaming rumors and leaks and stuff like that, yeah. Oh, Night Amber. It was good. Yeah, it was good seeing you. But basically, some were saying that there could be a possibility that there's like a Max Payne style game that's going to utilize, potentially like a crossover story between that and the new GTA 6. So it's hard to know what is going down. But one really cool thing about I'm sorry to ramble. We're going to get into this Panama story in a second. But one really cool thing about when you went to Guarma in Red Dead is that the rendering, like the draw distance in Red Dead 2 was so amazing. Like you could see forever and it was still beautiful. I was like, I had not seen that in the game in so long. It looks, you could look over a valley and just see everything forever, and it just looks so realistic. And I'm like, man, that is some seriously talented programming and art, artwork and all that kind of stuff. And it was so crazy to think in Guarma, like, I know a lot of the missions were relatively linear to a certain extent, but the fact that because of how the whole system is set up, most of that, wasn't just a trick of the eye type thing. Like, they literally had to render everything, and it looked just as good, if not better, than Drake's Uncharted 4, which had a lot of like island type things. And I don't know, I was really impressed with the graphics in Red Dead 2. But yeah, they need to make a Red Dead Nightmare 2. That would be amazing. It would actually be unbelievably amazing, because God, Red Dead Undead Nightmare, the original was so awesome, and I love the style of zombies. It was like that, it was a curse that brought people back. It was like the haunted item or whatever it was, like an ancient, you know. Robin says with the 20 kroner says just talking about Red Dead. Yeah, Robin's a huge Red Dead fan, and I admire Red Dead a lot. It was a great experience and very impressive. But man, if they did a zombie with that like sort of really gritty style zombie that they had in the original, I can't imagine how beautiful that'd look. That would be freaking nutball mode. But it seems like lately Rockstar's really taken on the approach when it comes to single player. Like single player costs a lot, and it's not going to have their biggest draw. Though I can guarantee you that a lot of people would buy the huge sales that they had for Red Dead 2, they would see equal sales most likely if they went and did those single player expansions with an Undead Nightmare type of situation. But it seems that they try to really monetize the online aspect, and I tried the online for a brief period of time. I just couldn't get into it. The controls overall for really any sort of like GTA game, especially Rockstar game, is just very clunky. Like there's not a lot of precision to it. I would say Max Payne had a lot more precision. Unfortunately, when I tried to play it on the PC, it crashed on my PC a lot and actually hurt my one hard drive really bad, or to the point where it ruined my operating system the one time. But so that was it. Didn't seem as if the Red Dead Max Payne 3 was optimized for the PC when it was ported over. But I don't know, the controls were a little bit clunky, so I didn't really stick with online too long. But hopefully maybe we'll get to see some more single player stuff and maybe some zombie stuff. I doubt it, but man, that a boy can dream, am I right? Anyways, let's read this. Anyways, here's Wonderwall. Have you guys heard of Murphy's Law? It's the rule that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And boy, is that a real thing. A couple of years back, I was in... Oh, great. Another... I know some of these words. Alright. Shit. Wait, oh, not bouquet. That's strange. It's like bouquet, Panama. But I don't know if it has the pronunciation. Bouquet. What do you guys? It's a place in Panama. Is it bouquet? Conker's Bad Fur Day. Yeah, well, that remake on Xbox was freaking gorgeous, and it was so much fun. I love just like finding the different ways that you could watch Conker die. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but like going up to really high heights and just falling off and just smushing on the ground was really funny. Panama. Bouquet? Dave, you think it's bouquet? Bouquet? Let's see, we're gonna watch a YouTube video, maybe they'll pronounce it for us. Oh, or it will just be a guitar thing. Also, guys, if you should totally hit that like button. It might get more people into the stream here. From what I hear, the engagement of it tends to let YouTube know that more people are enjoying it. So hit that like button if you haven't already, and maybe we'll get some more people into the stream here as they watch me try to figure out how to pronounce bouquet. So Dave, you say, how did you say to pronounce it? Just boca? Is it boca or bouquet? It's a Spanish word meaning gap. Boca, boca. I already made fun. Do I need more people? I don't know. I mean, it's good to just see more people. They can come in and have fun and chat and just see how this all goes down and that kind of thing. It's so weird how hard it is to find the... You can only press the like button once. That's okay. Smash that motherfucking... Boca is mouth. So bouquet? Is that... I'm sorry, guys. I'm showing my lack of culture. Ugh. Was Dave still here? Dave knew some words. Spell it. Oh, sorry. It's B-O-Q-U-E-T-T-E. Murray Brown, my accent is amazing. You actually helped me so much. Well, I appreciate that. Bouquet. Okay. Oh, so it's just bouquet. Like, it sounds more like a French situation, you know what I mean? Because it's Panama. I should just apologize in the description. Yeah, I mean, then, honestly, no one would really care that much. Spanish dictionary says bocate. Oh, bocate? Oh, that's scary. Now that would be next. Bocate. 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 Doris, not many. Somewhere in Panama. Yeah, just say that. Somewhere in Panama. Somewhere. I don't even know. Alright. So Dave, I'm trusting you here on this one. The Spanish dictionary says bocate. Bocate. Yeah, we'll just say bocate. Okay. A couple of years back, I was in Bocata. Shit. Bocata. A couple of years back, I was in Bogota, Panama with a close friend of mine. First night there, we went out drinking with a group of people we'd met at the hostel we were staying in. I met a girl. We got talking and, well, we happened to find ourselves looking for a quiet spot to get some personal time in. You see where I'm going with this. We're walking and chatting, just being drunk and silly as we're wandering along this dusty road when we come to a gas station and realize we're pretty lost. I decide I'll go in, buy some smokes, then ask the attendants there how to get back to our hostel. So I'm inside, drunkenly fluctuating between Spanish and English with the two attendants when the girl I'm with pops inside. Apparently she's found us someone who will take us back to the hostel, so I apologize to the attendants without getting directions and follow her outside into the forecourt. Only it's not a taxi that the girl has found. It's just some Panamanian woman with a white Chevy. But I'm not one to refuse the kindness of a stranger, so at first I don't make anything of it and just get into the car. But when I look at the driver, I start realizing that what we did was a very bad idea. She looked high as a kite, and I'm pretty sure I could see a little coke dust around her nostrils. But by that time, she'd already driven off, and it was sort of too late to say anything. Not only that, but her car reeked of alcohol. I mean, it seriously smelled like a distillery in there. After some driving around, it becomes obvious that the woman is completely nuts. She actually starts doing coke while she's driving in between rants in Spanish that seem to verge on manic episodes. Me and my gal pal are a little put off and ask to be let out. Driver pulls over and the girl, who is sitting in the front, jumps out. I'm just about to follow suit when the driver turns to me and says, in plain English, "I lost my kids today. Stay with me a little while, will you?" This was a few years ago. Sorry. Voice crack number 1. This was a few years ago, and I have grown up a lot since. But drunk me decided that I was making a great decision by staying in the car. I'm on the edge of blackout in a brand new town, and so, for a while, I don't notice that this drunken woman is driving me way out of town. She makes a phone call, and then a few minutes later she pulls the car to the side of the road. I'm not joking when I say the largest man I had ever seen gets into the back of the car. He's Panamanian and thugged out from head to toe. He has dead eyes and coldly stares at me without saying a word. My drunk white Canadian self is sitting in the front seat. Through the liquor haze, my brain is screaming, "Dude, you're in Panama. No one knows where you are. You're alone with this terrifying human who hasn't spoken a word and is clearly messed up." Oops. You're alone with this terrifying human who hasn't spoken a word and a clearly messed up cokehead girlfriend. So I pull out my phone, thinking now is a good time to get a hold of my buddy back at our hostel, but it's dead. Yep, I'd forgotten to lock the screen before putting it in my pocket, and it had died. Stuff like that is why I hardly drink anymore. So we are driving further and further out of town. The houses are getting big and spread out. We pull into a house that has Greek columns in the entryway, and I am thinking to myself that I've been kidnapped. I'm absolutely terrified at this point, and maybe because I was so scared, but I just got out of the car and followed her inside. I didn't want to do anything crazy. I had no idea how she'd react if I just ran away. She takes me inside of this huge house that's just dripping with drug dealer chic. I mean, it really did look like it really did look like whoever owned the place was trying to build a replica of the Tony Montana mansion from Scarface. Marble columns everywhere, huge garnish paintings of tigers and stuff like that. We walk into one room where, sat at this huge dining table, is this really twitchy-looking Panamanian dude. He rises to greet me like we're long-lost friends or something, calling me brother and actually hugging me. I knew he could tell how out of depth I was, and I got the impression he was enjoying it. He offered me coke, weed, you name it. I politely declined them all, and in a very roundabout way asked why I had been brought here. He cuts to the chase and tells me he's a very successful runner with a network of contacts from Panama City to... I don't know how to say that. Super sad summer, you're getting sushi? Aw, yeah. Hey world, we're getting sushi. Was it? So this is spelled Michoacan with the enunciation over the A at the end. Michoacan. Michoacan? Pronunciation Mitocan. What the hell? Mitocan de. Oh, okay. Mitocan. Mitocan? Mit. That's strange. Why is there a T? Mitocan. Well, that seems right. Everything seems right. Everything's fine. Everything's chill. He cuts to the chase and tells me he's a very successful drug runner with a network of contacts from Panama City to Mitocan, and that he is a favor to ask me. Wait, what? Oh, Ashley Flores says Michoacan. Michoacan? Michoacan. Okay, Michoacan. Michoacan. Okay, yeah, okay, this is like Michigan. That's kind of funny. Michoacan. He cuts to the chase and tells me he's a very successful drug runner with a network of contacts from Panama City to Michoacan, and that he is a favor to ask me. You know the way cartoon characters do like a big gulp when they're anxious or scared? Not a cliche. That actually happens, and the Panamanian drug runner has to stifle his laughter when it happened to me. He tried to calm me down, assure me it wasn't a big deal, but then, without breaking a sweat, he explained that he wanted to smuggle a kilo of coke into the States. Oh, shit. He tried to calm me down, assure me it wasn't a big deal, but then, without breaking a sweat, he explained that he wanted me to smuggle a kilo into the States for him. I think I just totally zoned out when he was explaining how I'd do it, imagining myself in an orange jumpsuit, my parents quietly crying as my sentence is read out. There was no way I could go through with something like that, but I didn't think that was what my host wanted to hear. I pretended I was into the idea, asking how much money I'd make from the run, whereabouts in a vehicle you could hide so much. Then I told him I'd be back in touch within a couple of days to confirm the departure date. He seemed delighted, gave me a burner cell phone he could call me on, then told the cokehead woman to drive me back into town. The very next day I told the guy I was staying with... The very next day I told the guy I was staying with that I was leaving. I didn't even bother to get in touch with the girl that I'd hooked up with the night before. She was drop-dead gorgeous, and I ghosted on her harder than a gay Casper. I was too scared to keep the phone, but too scared to throw it away. I had gotten it into my head that the runner could use it to track me. I only tossed the thing when I was back over the border in the U.S. Maybe I've watched too much Breaking Bad, but I have zero regrets. I can imagine how much money that guy has, and I know some of the messed up things people... I can imagine how much money that guy has, and I know some of the messed up things people will do for money. Besides, he could have employed the weird logic and say I stole from him by not returning the phone. I don't know. I just didn't want to take any chances. I've never been back to Panama since. Sometimes I stop and think of the smallest little actions and how they have huge consequences. Meeting the wrong girl, getting into the wrong car, all can have the most disastrously unimaginable consequences, and I guess next year, I'll just try Canada. Cocaína. Lucy, welcome, welcome. So that was story 3. We got about 4 more stories to go. And we've been going for about an hour and a half, so definitely at least another hour and a half or more, maybe 2 hours of the stream left if you guys are keeping tabs. You weren't notified, Lucy? What in the world? YouTube is dropping the ball, dog. Canada's nice this time of year. So this one, I guess relatively close, is Cuba. Cuba. The Cuba Missile Crisis. Butter, like a buttery sock on a toasted baguette. A few years back, my dad passed. Shit. A few years back, my dad passed pretty suddenly. Heading back to our hometown for the funeral, my 2 younger sisters and I were reunited for the first time in years. It felt amazing, feeling petty sibling rivalries just fall away once we realized what was truly important, being family. We get chatting on the night of the wake, reminiscing and stuff, when we make the joint decision to go on a family vacation together. A few months down the line, and we've somehow managed to get the 3 of us to agree on a location, somewhere our dad has always talked about, with great affection, a place called Veradero in Cuba. He'd taken our late mom there on a belated honeymoon a year or so ago, after... Whoops. He'd taken our late mom there on a belated honeymoon a year or so after they'd married, and the place was filled with happy memories for them. Maybe, just maybe, we could visit Veradero and feel a connection with her parents' past. So myself and my two sisters, Rose and Jackie, boarded a flight at Toronto Pearson that was headed directly to Havana, Cuba. Seeking to escape another damp, squib Canadian summer for the sun-soaked beaches of the Caribbean. We were excited beyond words. It was the first real vacation any of us had taken in years, and we really had gone all out for it. But it took about an hour before we wanted to leave. We landed in Havana, and the weather is looking like it's about to turn. It was very hot, and the sun was sweltering, but on the horizon was the biggest, most intimidating collection of storm clouds I'd ever laid eyes on. I mean, they were huge, the kind of thing you'd expect to see in a Hollywood disaster movie. When we met our driver outside the airport, he explained in pretty good English the storm wasn't expected to hit Cuba too hard, and that it should be cleared up by morning. And he was wrong. Over the course of the 2-hour drive to Veradero, the storm began to encroach, so that by the time we reached the actual resort, heavy winds had been battering the buildings to the point that the roof tiles were scattered all over the place. We were getting pretty concerned by this point, but the resort bar is still open and doing good business thanks to the weather, so we decided to grab a few drinks to pass the time. Mojitos, daiquiris, cubanitos. We sampled pretty much everything the menu had to offer us. Big mistake. By the time we leave to go back to our rooms, we're pretty smashed. Spirits are high despite the rain, so we're laughing and joking, singing songs in our bad Spanish, when all of a sudden, Rosie slips on a piece of roofing tile and goes down hard. Well, she doesn't exactly slip. According to her, an initial slip on her flip-flop on a damp, loose piece of tiling causes her footwear to become stuck. This kinda whipped her leg back, causing her to land on it with all her weight. We hear the bone snap as clear as day. It was horrific, but not as horrific as Rosie's screams. It took about 30 minutes of screams, tears, and panicking resort staff before the Cuban ambulance finally showed up. Some people make a big deal about the quality of Cuban healthcare, but I can assure you, the reality is quite different. The ambulance was literally just a can with a wheelchair in the back. No stretcher, no monitors for vital signs, nothing like we were used to back in Canada. What's worse, the driver was a doctor himself. The hospital was short-staffed that their own doctors were forced to drive the emergency vehicles themselves. Speaking of the hospital, we were horrified to find out that the closest clinic was over 45 minutes away in a place called Matanza. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Alright, so this is Matanzas. 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 Let's see. Matanzas. Yeah. Matanzas? That seems right. Who's Sean and who's got a crush? Are you guys crushing on each other in chat? Chat's having a party. And I was not even invited. This is crazy. Speaking of the hospital, we were horrified to find out that the closest clinic was over 45 minutes away in a place called Matanzas. And when we get there, it's worse than we could have imagined. The whole place is flooded thanks to the rainstorm, and we certainly weren't the only ones to suffer an accident because of it. The place was heaving with wounded and injured people. There were bloody palm prints on the walls, smears of blood on the floors where people had been dragged inside. The hospital staff were working so hard, but If there just wasn't enough of them, every single one was rushed off their feet, looking like they were about to snap under the pressure. Rose is still groaning in pain as we wheel her down flooded corridors. The doctors driving the ambulance were very kind and his English was almost perfect, but he just didn't have the medicine to properly dull Rose's pain. What's worse, we were doing all of this in our bikini tops. Nothing but wrap-around towels to cover up our lower halves. All these Cubans kept looking at us like crazy gringos or whatever, wondering why we were dressed for a party in what was obviously a crisis. The whole thing was stressful and embarrassing. We hadn't even converted our money yet. When the staff wheel Rose into the X-ray room, my jaw drops at how terrible a condition the machine is. It looks like it was made in the 50s or something. It's ginormous, rusted, and looked like it might come crashing down on whoever was unfortunate enough to be under it at the wrong time. Another doctor arrives. They complete the X-ray. Then the doctor tells us they're going to try to set Rose's broken leg without any anesthetic. I honestly thought I'd heard him wrong. None of us could quite believe what he just said, but in his similarly near-perfect English, he explained that the hospital was short on anesthesia, and we're saving it for high-priority patients. What could be worse than a broken leg? We weren't sure, but the doctor was insistent that Rose would not be receiving any anesthesia. I cannot begin to describe the screams I heard. Jackie and I became so upset that a hospital security guard forced us to wait outside the room. The only seat available was next to an unconscious Cuban man. He was barely breathing, his head lolling back into his chair. I was pretty sure he was dying. Finally, after they set her leg, the doctor administers propofol just to knock Rosie out cold. They then explain they don't have the tools to perform any complex surgery required to properly set Rosie's leg, and we needed to get home, and fast. The next flight back wasn't until 8 p.m. the next night. Add the fact that the only wheelchair on the resort was too small to barely function. Our dream vacation had literally turned into a waking nightmare of pain, sleeplessness, and soul-crushing panic. We made it back in one piece, but Rose now has a permanent steel rod in her thigh and has been strongly advised to have gastric bypass surgery in order to reduce to... We made it back in one piece, but Rose now has a permanent steel rod in her thigh and has been strongly advised to have gastric bypass surgery in order to reduce to a weight her weak leg can support. Please be very, very careful when you're on vacation. Many areas of the world are not nearly as fortunate as we are, and it can be quite a shock when you're face to face with that sort of deprivation. I would hate to think that anyone would have to suffer like my sister did, ever again. Yeah, that sucks. That would be a literal nightmare. You like just get there and, oh, my leg, I've fallen and I quite literally snapped my bones. And I'm dying to death. Anthony, no, your girlfriend got angry and went to bed. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go wake her. Maybe she heard my voice and it made her pass out. All right. Now we're heading to Vietnam. Broken femur, no pain medicine. That is a joy. A dream come true. Starbucks stories. I believe I do have Starbucks stories on the channel, but I'm not sure. Yeah, SpongeBob fish scream. My leg! Oh, my leg! I wonder if they have that. My leg, SpongeBob. SpongeBob.
Mrs. Puff?
There it was. My leg! It's so funny looking back at that stuff. Oh, SpongeBob. Why?
Mrs. Puff. Mrs. Puff. Oh, hi, Patrick. Hi, Patrick.
This is Patrick. No, this is Patrick. Patrick. Oh, hi, SpongeBob. It's a giraffe. Yeah, some of the stories today have been pretty sad. Fair lady, I am. I most certainly am. Smash or pass, Mrs. Puff. Now that's the age-old question right there. Is it weird that you're 18, you still love watching Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry? I would say no. I really don't know,
I don't, when that's ever gonna be a bad thing. Cartoons are the greatest thing they've ever made.
I'm not good at impressions. I have, like, really, really baseline impressions, but none of them are, like, that good. Morty, Morty, we gotta read more stories. I don't know, Rick. I don't know. Seems kind of scary. Morty, don't be such a baby. We gotta read something here. The fans want it. The fans want it. Oh, Rick, I'm freaking out, man. A few years back, my dad passed. Oh, wait. That's Cuba. I'm reading Cuba again. Am I, like, crazy? Am I insane? Like, what's wrong with me? Am my brain broken? Ho Chi Minh. Oh, nice. I actually know how to say this one. Ho Chi Minh. Holy shit. I was 19 when I first landed in Ho Chi Minh City, barely a grown man. Before that, I'd never even left the UK, and Vietnam seemed like the most exotic place in the world to me. Feeling like Neil Armstrong landing on an alien planet, the humidity that... Whoops. The Elizabeth Harrington with a 2 says, "Hi, how are you?" I am doing good. Elizabeth, how are you? Just reading some spooky dooky stories. Ha 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 ha. Alright. Feeling like Neil Armstrong landing on an alien planet, the humidity that hit me in the face as I stepped off the airplane was unbelievable. How could people live in that heat? I couldn't even imagine. But live they did. In tiny, arterial streets and wide sunflower-lined avenues, millions upon millions of Vietnamese made their way around the city on little mopeds and scooters. My cigarette-smoking taxi driver filled the car with thick, billowing fumes, beeping the horn so regularly that it could have been Morse code. I recoiled when he began bellowing viciously out of the window in Vietnamese at any two-wheelers that came in too close. It was a sensory overload. Alien sights and unfamiliar noises, exotic scents both putrid and pleasurable. It was almost a relief to arrive at the small, dingy hostel I'd be staying at for at least a couple of nights. I quickly developed a taste for Vietnamese food. Loud, vibrant flavors in some strangely familiar forms. Vietnamese beer was pretty good too, yet it was the night that brought Saigon to life. Wait, what? Yet it was the night that brought Saigon to life. Hey, Zanzibar with the 10s has been listening to you for a while. You're one of the best nerds on YouTube. Keep it up. Thank you, Zanzibar. I appreciate that. I try to be the best. The best there ever was. Yet it was the night that brought Saigon to life. Neon signs and blaring speakers from shrines and temples, Vietnamese go-go dancers gyrating to lyrics they couldn't understand, fried meat and incense filling the air with sweet, delicious smells. Street vendors sold fruits that looked like props from a science fiction movie. It was incredible. But maybe I got a little too confident in my new home away from home. So Vietnamese weed is cheap, like really bloody cheap. Not as strong as some of the stuff you can find in the UK and the States, but for the price, it's fantastic. It's also readily available. You can rock up to some little Vietnamese dive bar and pay the bartender to nip out and grab you a bag. It's really that easy. Only this one night, my usual connection isn't in work. I try to ask the owner where the bartender is in my crappy Vietnamese, but he doesn't understand, so I give up and decide to find myself a new person to pick up from. Something you should know about Ho Chi Minh. It's not uncommon for someone on a moped or a scooter to just cruise up next to you on the pavement and offer you a lift somewhere. They'll be like, "Hey man, you want beers, ladies, weed, ecstasy?" Most people just laugh and decline politely, with the Viet hustlers just taking it on the chin and shouting bye-bye as they drive off. But when this dude rolls up and gives me the same routine, I nod and ask him if we can drive me somewhere to buy some smoke. As I expect, he smiles, nods, and tells me to hop on. After we're driving for about 15 minutes, I notice that we're actually heading out of the city center. Not just that, but we seem to be heading way out into the suburbs, which in Vietnam is basically just jungle with houses interspersed between thick patches of foliage. I didn't mind the journey really, as long as he didn't try and gouge me for it, and find much more quality stuff if you go out into the country where there's not as much demand. My driver says we're headed to a bar he knows, but when we pull into the driveway of this bar, it's anything but. It's literally just someone's house, a 2-story building with like a porch out front. He tells me we've arrived and I should wait on the porch for him to get my gear for me. Me being me, I just sort of assumed I either misheard the guy or there's been some other kind of miscommunication, probably on my part. So I do as he says, sitting in a white plastic chair on this house's porch while the owner comes out and starts talking to the driver. But when he sees me, he's absolutely effing fuming. He starts growling stuff at the driver, pointing at me and then at the driver. I didn't need to speak Vietnam. Viet. Hey, Latoya, thank you for the $2. Appreciate that, Latoya. Try to do your 15-page paper, but not as interesting as your streams. Well, thank you. Skip it. Forget the paper. Just kidding. But are people getting married in my chat? Is that what's happening? Am I getting invited? Is that, I mean, if you, it's like you guys are meeting at my house right now. And if I don't get invited, that's like a curse for the future marriage. I didn't need to speak Vietnamese to know that I'm definitely not welcome here. But to my confusion, the two just go inside and leave me be. I'm getting pretty impatient after about 20 minutes goes by and I'm still just sat there, waiting on these two guys to come out with my smoke. Worried I'm being ripped off, I get up out of the seat and start wandering towards the doorway of the house, trying to get a look inside. But there's noise at the entranceway to the driveway. 4 youngish Vietnamese guys are staggering up the path, obviously pretty drunk. When they see me, they make the older owner's reaction look tame. They're not happy to see me, drunkenly jabbering in Vietnamese and making some pretty aggressive hand gestures. I'm backing off up the porch, hand raised before me like this I'm no threat to anyone kind of way, but they just sense the weakness and ramp it up. One is pushing me, the other is actually trying to stick his hand in my pockets to rob me. All the while, the other two are like half goading them on and half trying to throw punches and kicks at me through the melee. I'm convinced I'm about to be robbed and battered by a gang of angry Viets, and that I'll have to walk hours back into Ho Chi Minh without a penny to my name. And that's when I hear it. There was this loud, echoing crack that caused the Viet lads to scatter away from me. I look up, and the older owner of the house has stood there holding a bloody, smoking gun in the air. He then proceeds to aim it at the gang of Vietnamese lads, screaming stuff in Viet at them as they back up the driveway, absolutely bricking it. I honestly thought he was about to shoot one of them, right in front of me, and as much as I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, I sort of wanted him to. I actually found myself wanting this fella to just smoke one of those absolute ratbags trying to pick on some lonely, lost Westerner. I hate bullies. I always have. These fellies just... fellies. Oh my god. These fellies. Hey, fellies. Lils with the 2 says, Joel, will you marry me? Liz, I was just asked to be my hand taken in marriage to a large stuffed crust pizza. If you can beat that pizza in a fiery cage match, you can have my hand in wedlock. Thank you. These fellas just legged it up the drive, though, tails between their legs. I'm still shaking as the owner starts talking to me in Vietnamese. I have no idea what he's saying, but it's some kind of sort of explanation for what just happened. To this day, I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm guessing they were just some neighborhood thugs, come to pick up some smoke as I had, who decided that they didn't like what they saw. Simple as that. With trembling hands, I take this huge bag from the owner who... With trembling hands, I take this huge bag from the owner who then refuses to take my money off me. He's batting it away and pushing my hand back towards me, in this really overt gesture of keep this, you probably need it right now. And I did. You have no idea how scary it is when something like that happens in a foreign country. The feeling of utter confusion, helplessness, and fear are amplified because you stick out like a sore thumb. The one thing worse than some horrible misfortune is horrible misfortune you're not able to ask for help with. Your money's on the pizza. I don't know, Lils. This is a battle royale. Gotta hit him right in the 3 cheese. Thin crust, garlic sauce, pineapple, and hot sauce. Thank me later. Ooh, that sounds real tantalizing. I could commit to that. To be the pizza driver. This is true. Alright, so this is Belfast, which is in Ireland. The land of ire. Is Padip a boy or a girl? He's a boy. He's a boy. He's a goodly boy. It's so hot in here right now. He's just laid right on his back, like legs so spread open. He's just asking for it. You know what I mean? For my 18th birthday, my mom and dad organized a trip to Ireland for me and 2 friends. My dad's family had emigrated to Canada after the Second World War, and my mom also had some Irish blood, so it was always a dream of mine to visit the old country to gain a greater connection with our cultural past. My dad actually still has relatives in Belfast, in the far north of Ireland, which is technically still part of the UK, and still keeps in touch with them. So a big part of the trip was connecting with these relatives, having them show us around, treating us to some traditional Irish delicacies, like Guinness and more Guinness. So after about a week or so of touring Dublin, Limerick, and Cork, we headed up north via train to stay with my distant cousins in Belfast. The meetup wasn't scheduled until the evening. Whoops. I hope I'm pronouncing Belfast normally. Is it Belfast? Do you guys know? His Eminence with the 2 says 2 on Lils. Oh yeah. We're taking bets here, guys. Can you handle that, Lils? Don't throw the fight, because the pizza never throws a fight. Savannah Gonzalez with the 5 says, love your work, fave voice on YouTube by far. I plan on making you perler bead art for your icon soon. I'll tag you on Insta. All right, yeah, that'd be awesome, and I'll be sure to share that with the Instagram fam. Limerick. Okay, Limerick, Dublin, Limerick, and Cork. My 3. If I ever have children, those are their names. Dublin, Limerick, and Cork. Huh. Okay, it's pronounced how you're saying. Okay, sweet. Just wanted to make sure. Limerick. So after about a week or so of touring Dublin, Limerick, and Cork, we headed up north via train to stay with my distant cousins in Belfast. The meetup wasn't scheduled until the early evening, and it was still quite early in the morning when our train arrived, so me and my 2 girlfriends ended up having some time to kill. Turns out Belfast is pretty cool, with a lot of stuff to see and do, so we had no worries about keeping occupied until the evening. So we're out doing a little shopping and seeing some sights when this young-looking guy walks up to us out of nowhere and strikes up a conversation. Being young girls, a cute Irish guy talking to us turned us into blushing idiots. He's telling us how he's not from Belfast, that he's only in town to do a music video shoot for his band. This now turns the fawning factor up to 11, and we're practically drooling over this tattooed Lothario as he regales us with tales of our tour bus and... Shit. Yeet, yeet, yeet. Lim Yeet. The town of Yeet, Ireland. Oh, this now turns the fawning factor up to Lothario. This now turns the fawning factor up to 11, and we're practically drooling over this tattooed Lothario as he regales us with tales of tour bus antics and wild rock shows. Eventually, to our absolute delight and amazement, he tells us we're all gorgeous and that we're perfect to star in their music video with them. He explains it'll be like a group thing, with a band playing in the abandoned warehouse space while their fans party around them. So when he asks us if we have an hour or 2 to spare to come and be part of the shoot, we jump at the chance. He asks us to follow him, and without so much as a second thought, we do. But here's the thing. I've always been a good judge of character, and something didn't quite feel right to me. I don't know what it was at the time, but something just didn't add up. I also know a little bit about guitars, having played for a few years in high school. I'm not amazing or anything, but I do know my way around a fretboard. So when the guy says he plays guitar in his band, I asked him which model and brand he prefers. He hesitates, then gives us some wishy-washy answer about having too many favorites to really choose from. Okay, nothing quite so suspicious about that. The guy must have had a whole bunch of guitars on hand. But I pressed the issue. I asked him if he'd ever played a genuine I don't know how to say this word. Les Paul? Is it Les Paul? I don't know. I don't know guitars. Les Paul. Gibson Les Paul. Gibson then pauses. It's the name of the manufacturer. Les Paul, it's the name of the model of guitar. It's the name of it's the same name as the guitarist Okay, so here's a Wikipedia page. Blue Rooster with Tens, could you send me your signature to go with the Spaceman? Maybe. Is it for merchandise, or because like the merchandise doesn't leave from Les Paul. Okay, Les Paul. Le Paul, the Paul. Well, it's like a French thing, but then also I don't know, like sometimes things that get transferred over to English, you know, it gets changed around for business stuff like that. But yeah, as far as the Blue Rooster, I'm not sure if you know, you're getting merch and stuff like that. I would not be able to sign it. Less. Okay. Cool. Thank you guys. You guys have been a huge help with these pronunciations, because I've been kind of lost with them lately tonight, and I would have most definitely botched them. But I pressed the issue. I asked him if he'd ever played a genuine Les Paul, and he honestly looks at me like I'm speaking Greek. My nonsense detector is... shit. My BS detector is going off the scales at that. Everyone who plays guitar has some dream set up in mind, some god-tier piece of gear that they've longed to have placed on a pedestal. This guy had nothing. In fact, I was starting to think he knew nothing about guitars at all. I think he actually began to notice my suspicion, and this caused him to drop a little of that happy-go-lucky disposition of his. The guy actually started walking much faster through the crowds, turning around every so often to tell us to hurry up or we'll be late for the shoot. I turned to the girls around this time to tell them that I really didn't like where this was going. While they understood my concerns, they just thought I was being overly paranoid, that I should relax and see where the adventure would take us. But when he eventually leads us all the way to his run-down-looking warehouse building that did not look at all safe, they started getting similar vibes. There's garbage everywhere, gnarly-looking graffiti all over the walls. The place looked like it was a junkie's paradise. Remember, this is in the middle of the day, and there's a ton of people around. Well, now we're way out of sight from the general public with this shady stranger who I'm convinced is up to no good. At these big iron entrance doors, he stops, waits, and then tells us to go ahead of him. The other two girls are giggling, way excited at the prospect of staring. Way excited at the prospect of staring. Blue Rooster with the two says it's for a tattoo, not merch. Oh, I see. Well, I feel like it wouldn't be wise of me to give my, like, real name's, you know, signature, because I've read online that it's, if you do give signatures to people, like autographs and stuff, you'd have to do, like, some, you know, some sort of not your personal signatory thing, so it doesn't get thrown around or whatever. But perhaps I could come up with a signature for Let's Read, but I feel like my cursive L's are not the most attractive, but I could definitely do something cool. Yeah, that'd be sweet. You're a sucker for potato chips. Same. The other two girls are giggling, way excited at the prospect of starring in some foreign band's music video, and just obey him like a pair of idiots. Girls, we're not going in there. We're leaving. Oh, that's her character. Girls, we're not going in there. We're leaving. The words seemed to leave my mouth before I'd even realized I'd spoken them. At this point, the guy freaks out and stands in between me and my friends, trying to block their exit from the warehouse. You can see the fury in his eyes. Whatever nefarious plan he'd had for us, I'd obviously just thrown a spanner in the works. He's so overcome with anger that he's hissing at me not to ruin this for him, like flecks of spittle are flying from his lips and landing on me. It was disgusting. So gross, in fact, that I actually lean into it. So gross, in fact, that I actually lean into a push, sent him flying off balance before I scream at my friends to get out of there. It takes him acting like a complete idiot for my friends to realize just what a scumbag this guy was, and at that, we're running away from his warehouse like it's on fire. The guy is yelling after us, shouting stuff about us not ruining this for him. This just makes us think he's giving chase, so we run faster and faster until we're back among the throngs of people. Relative safety. I couldn't believe how dumb we were, and I told the girls as much. We swore we wouldn't tell any of the family what we had done. I have no clue what surprise was waiting for us inside that filthy warehouse space. I realized in that moment how naive I was, and to listen to my intuition. My intuition. I realized in that moment how naive I was, and to listen to my intuition, which has protected me many, many times throughout my life. What a bunch of idiots we were. My cat is just laying at my feet in just such a funny position. He just wants to be rubbed. Just wants to be rubbed down. Alright, we're at over 500 people here to finish out the stream, which is cool. That seems to be about average, I think, for like peak stream. The most I ever did was the 1,200 people, which was nuts, and that was on a Sunday stream, but I think I didn't start till literally midnight anyway, so I think everybody was like going to bed or something like that. But this is our last story. And this one takes place in good old Australia. Aussie land. Anybody here from Australia? Maybe you'll recognize some of these places. After our university graduation, a few close friends and I decided to go traveling to Western Australia. We had planned the trip for years, putting away savings from our part-time jobs until the day we finally donned our mortarboard caps. Mortarboard? Is that a thing?
Mortarboard.
An academic cap with a stiff, flat, square top and a tassel. Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of that. We had planned the trip for years, putting away savings for our part-time jobs until the day we finally donned our mortarboard caps and ventured out into the world as adults. We arrived in country, spent a week or so just lazing around the beaches and soaking up the sun, then decided we'd have ourselves a little road trip. And for that, we'd need wheels. So we wandered into this little Aussie town and find ourselves the cheapest, noisiest camper van and rent the thing for basically pennies. We drove this battered old camper van around a few towns, often sleeping in the van itself when we were unable to find any hostels or hotels. Anyone familiar with the northwestern corner of Australia knows that town is a pretty generous term for most of these places, and there's a lot of absolutely nothing in between them, just barren outback desert. One night, after driving for hours and hours in almost pitch darkness, we decided it would be better to just pull over and get some sleep instead of risking getting lost in the outback. So we stop, drive off the road a little into this little dry patch of nowhere, with no one around for miles and miles. We're tired, but we're happy. We're stocked up on food, cold beer, and now we've got ourselves a place to sleep. We've got it made. So after an hour or so around a warm fire, drinking and reminiscing about uni, we find ourselves staring up at the sky. It's an incredible vista. Lack of light pollution in that area of Australia means that the starlight canopy is a truly mesmerizing sight. But the place we're settled into is ringed by trees, so at some point, someone has the bright idea to go for a little wander so we can get a better view of the stars. It wasn't hard to find a good spot. The only trees around were nestled between the hills, hiding from the sun and sucking up any water that flowed their way. Manage to drag yourself up one of the slopes and you can see for miles and miles. I mean, Australia is so flat in places that it's like you're looking out to the ends of the earth. So with all of us a little buzzed, we start shuffling off towards one of these hills. It was glorious. The Milky Way was so bright and deep it felt like you were falling into it. The road and our campsite were hidden by darkness and trees, erasing pretty much all signs of civilization. We felt so alone, so far from home, it really was a special moment. We sat and drank in the galaxy and told whatever stories came to mind, just real hippie stuff. We were tiny specks in an immense universe and everything was perfect. And then it was time to go. We all stand up and as one, the 4 dudes I'm with start walking in the wrong direction. It's not hard to understand why. Every hill looked like the same from up on top of our glorious mound of rocks and dirt. Every little valley was choked with brush. The road was obscured from view and it curved gently away from us in both directions anyway. There were no landmarks and we were all high as kites. So there I am, confused at first as to why my mates are heading off in pretty much the opposite way we came. I doubt myself for a moment, wondering if it's me that in fact has the messed up sense of direction. The guys poke up a bit of fun, saying I'm too drunk to find my way back to the van, but I know at this point that we're definitely not going the right way. I start insisting, raising my voice, trying to convince the lads that they're about to get themselves dangerously lost in a place where getting lost can be fatal. They were so certain that they were going the right way that my objections were often met with laughter and mockery, but as time went on I became increasingly panicked. I could see this whole disastrous event unfolding before my eyes, so in a moment of clarity I just turned around and headed back in the direction I knew was correct. Now it was their turn to be insistent. The lads practically begged and pleaded with me not to go back in the wrong direction, drunkenly arguing that I was going to get us all in a lot of trouble. That infuriated me. Oops. Whew, it's hot in here. Ghosted already. Uh-oh. Oh, man. What are we talking about? Duct tape? Lils versus Joel versus stuffed crust pizza. No, I will be the prize. I will not be involved in that fight. You must earn my love. That infuriated. I can't say this word. Infuriated. Infuriated. A furry rated. Infuriated. That infuriated. Man, why does that sound so weird?
Infuriate.
Infuriate. Okay. Infuriate. That infuriated me. The only one with any idea of where we were, and I was being treated like a moron. Eventually, they decided to humor me, following my lead so that they could continue to mock me when I finally did get us all lost. Every step of the way, they pointed out how unfamiliar everything was, how it couldn't possibly be the way we came. One of the lads even started babbling about how we were going south when we really wanted to be going north. He didn't even have a compass on him. In fact, I'm pretty sure that even if he did, he still wouldn't be able to tell his... my cat wants out. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Do you guys like the Monday uploads the best? Like, do you think you watch videos from this channel most on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays? Or when do you guys normally like to watch them? In fact, I'm pretty sure that even if he did, he still wouldn't be able to tell his mouth from a hole in the ground. They left broken twigs and a trail behind us so we could find our way back, an idea that would have served us a whole lot better an hour or two beforehand. The one dude tried to physically drag me back to the hill and into the wilderness. They laughed at me, right up until we stepped out of a ditch and into the clearing where our camper van was set up. They weren't laughing then, I can tell you that much. The lad who was insistent that he had some kind of magnetic compass. Oh, shit. They weren't laughing then, I can tell you that much. The lad who was insistent that he had some kind of magnetic compass in his head was the worst off. He seemed flabbergasted, like the only explanation was that the camp had moved, not that we'd nearly gotten ourselves lost. I looked up this rest area later on Google Earth. Had we gone in any direction other than directly back to the road, it would have been over 120 miles before we hit any signs of civilization. If we were very, very lucky, 120 miles of Australian outback with no water, food, or tools. We'd have died, surely. It only takes a few days. Shit, I don't know why I'm messing this up. If we were very, very lucky, 120 miles of Australian outback with no food, water, or tools. We'd have died, surely. And it only takes a few days without water before the body just packs in. And we were so dehydrated from the alcohol and smokes that I don't think that we'd have lasted a day alone in the outback. And that's the story of why I don't hike with drunks anymore. Waka waka. Yeah, if you had to take a shot every time I messed up, you would be pretty gone. I essentially would be indirectly responsible for your death. That would be not so good. Oh boy. Well, guys, that is the last story for the night. What do you think I should say for the outro? Should it be, something funny? Should it be like a comedy joke or something of that nature? Like a thing that, makes you like, giggle or something like that? Yeah, I'll just purposely mess up to get you guys smashed. Super smashed, brothers. Super Smash Brothers. Donkey. Cheerios and wheat holes. Eat ha, let's get this bread. So basically I do my outro where I say, thanks so much, friends, and remember, and then I say a funny thing that all of you who were at this stream will be like, oh my god, dude, I was there. I was there when he said it live. The infamous day that Let's Read said something on live stream. Oh my god. Oh my golly gee. Alright, I'll just read the outro and give you an idea so you remember. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, Let's Read official and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. All links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends, and remember. Alright, so that's what it would, yeah, insert the tweeping birds, the twooting birds. Robin says, Super Mario 2 baby game of the year. It's a game for babies. It's just a baby game. Where's Anthony at? Because he was the big dono of the night, and I think that he would most certainly deserve to get to decide, have some say in this. He's like an executive producer at this point. Oh, I could say, or the whole ending, and remember, and then just repeat it all over again. Just repeat the entire whole ending again, because that would be pretty funny. Thanks so much, friends, and remember. Hey, friends, thanks for listening, and remember. And remember, licking doorknobs is illegal on other planets. What do you think, Anthony? You're getting 51% decision making in this company at this point. You give me the word, I'll do it. Anthony's the captain now. He's the captain now. Waka waka. Reptilian research. Reptilian research, are you actually researching about reptilians? Because I need to know everything you know. Lucy says, you better live me before you leave. What does that mean? I don't understand. I do not understand. Doorknobs probably do taste pretty bad. Doorknobs. Hey man, ask SpongeBob. Apparently he knows. Is SpongeBob here? Anthony says, not to be narcissistic. And remember, not to be narcissistic. I can say that. Do you want, would you like, can you confirm? Can you lock in your answer, Mr. Anthony? And remember, not to be narcissistic. You had an experience with a small humanoid reptilian. 3 actually. Yikes, that's quite scurry. Do I always stream today? I've been trying to do Sundays, late Sunday ones, and then, I mean, they're all around the same time, closer to like 9 o'clock almost, lately. Alright, Anthony, I'm gonna do remember not to be narcissistic. And I think that would be a nice positive message for the folks at home. But I hope nobody thinks I'm being accusatory. Who are you calling a narcissist? Okay. You will lock in. Anthony is the captain now. Not to be narcissistic. Okay. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Anthony is the captain now. And not to be... Wait, I'm confused how this is worded. Anthony is the captain now. And don't be narcissistic. Okay. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Anthony is the captain now. And don't be narcissistic. Boom. Shaka Khan. Oh yeah, 9 p.m.-ish, usually Eastern Standard Time, East Coast time in the United States. Wherever you are, you can adjust accordingly to that. And yeah, usually I'll stream the night before. I'll probably do streams this week like normal, but then I think next week's when I'm leaving, so I'm gonna have to get a lot of work done. So hopefully I don't end up missing any streams this week, but I gotta get a lot of like stuff, like videos ready ahead of time. So that's always kind of makes things a little bit difficult. But I think I can do it. I think I can. If I can just stay focused. But guys, thank you so much. This was a great stream. This was fantastic. Thank you guys for your love and support. The donations. Seriously, keep me alive. Keep me eating pizza. Keep me nice and full, to say the least. And yeah, I'll be in California area here July 9th through the 14th in Anaheim near Disneyland for VidCon at the conference center there and stuff. I'll be hanging out with 2 other YouTubers known as Blame It on Jorge or Blame It on George, however you want to pronounce that, and that creepy reading. And they're 2 boys that exist within the horror sort of realm, within that kind of zone of content creation. Been good friends of mine for a while, so I'm excited to meet them. I'm excited to hopefully see some fans at this convention or meet other creators. Would be really cool, and just generally have a good time. I mean, I've never been to California before, surprisingly, so I'll be licking a ton of doorbells while I'm there, doorknobs, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Join the Discord if you haven't already, if you're looking for a nice, good group of people to chat with. There's always something popping off in Discord. That's linked down below. Maybe I can even link that for you guys right now. Spam in the chat incoming. Don't blame me. So if you guys have Discord, be sure to click that. It's basically like Skype, but with like communities that you can join, and I think it's way better than Skype as far as call quality goes, and you can stream stuff to each other too, which is pretty neat, and just have chat room communities and all that kind of stuff. So join that. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter to keep up to date when I'm doing pretty much anything. And then if you got stories you want to send in and you want to hear on here for the subscriber videos, reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial, and you can submit there. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being awesome and being great every time. I've never had a bad stream where I'm like having a bad time. Always having a good time with you guys. So this makes my life infinitely easier, how positive you guys are, and I just appreciate the love. So I will catch you all again soon. Oh yeah, in this video, like I said, there might be a sponsor video that comes out tomorrow night at 7. It's going to be true scary stories either way, but it might just have a sponsorship involved in it at some point, which will still be my voice, so hopefully that doesn't irritate too many people. It'll only take a minute out of or 30 seconds out of like a hour-long video, as you know, that's usually how long they are. But if not, this video will probably come out tomorrow, and we're going to be kicking butt. We're moving forward. I'm just happy that you guys are just shown so much support and help grow in this community, grow this channel. All right, I'm done blabbing for a while. I hope you guys have a good night, get some good sleep, and have a good day at work tomorrow if that's what you're up to. But much love, peace from the Middle East Coast. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.